or Creighton or Kyle, his nephews, he just beamed. He was beaming, and he'd go on and on. Occasionally I'd have to tell him, yeah, I know. But he loved it, and he was beaming, including all of his family and cousins, when the cousins would come out from all over the place, New York and Michigan and San Diego. And he just really glowed about family. So, having said that, today we have Cindy and Creighton and Kyle here. So, Cindy.
Wow, this is a lot bigger than my staff meetings. So I'm just saying, it's remarkable. But on behalf of Darrell's family, I want to welcome everyone here, and in fact, welcome from Casey's family too. And they're all up here at the front tables, and just welcome everyone so very much. So a celebration of Darrell's life. So I'm going to talk about Darrell's life, what it was like growing up with Darrell. Many people have asked me that question. You know how remarkable he was. Well, what was it like growing up with Darrell? Well, first off, we never called him Darrell. As Jim mentioned, he was always D, I was C, and he always had nicknames for people. And many of you in this room have nicknames that Darrell called you. But there are many, many things I'll mention here for just a few minutes. And perhaps some of these things will ring true with each of you. So it'll help form how Darrell turned into the guy he is today. When we grew up, Mom and Dad, there was just the two of us. I was a year younger than Darrell, D, a year older than him. But we lived in many remote places around the country, national wildlife refuges with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Darrell was an outdoors guy. We lived with nature. We lived on the Atlantic Ocean, on the tip of Montauk Point, and spent time picking up horseshoe crabs and fishing for bluefish out on the coast of Long Island. We lived on lakes in northwest Minnesota. We lived in lakes in southern Illinois. We lived in lakes and rivers in western Pennsylvania. He was an outdoor guy. We grew up fishing. He grew up fishing and hunting. Today, you'll see when you visit the house that Bucky is up in the rafters, his 8-point buck that he very proudly got with Dad when he was very young. And fishing was always a passion of his. Darrell really never did grow up. Would you agree? Would you agree? But I'm going to tell you a couple of things that he did as a kid, and perhaps later on you'll share similar stories. But we had such a close family, and we would go to northern Michigan and spend Christmases and summer vacations with the cousins up in Traverse City and in that area. And Susan Fratamico, one of our Red Heart t-shirts, is here today from our first cousin, Susan. We had 28 first cousins that visited just in August out at Irwin Point. Actually, I call it Upte's Point. So there were 28 cousins that came just in August out here to see Darrell. We're close family, but we were very close growing up. But I just remember one Christmas when we were very proud to open up our presents, and Dee would he wanted a Mighty Mo cannon, and this was no Nerf ball thing of today, but these were round plastic balls that when you pumped a lot of air into it, well, here Mom was in front of the Christmas tree, and Dee shot off Mighty Mo, and this was when he was about 6-7 years old, and went right up Mom's skirt, and she fell into the Christmas tree. So I'm just saying, Mighty Mo was a good story. The other story was when in Minnesota, we had an hour-and-a-half bus ride each way to get to school. We lived in northwest Minnesota. And our bus driver's name was Red, and Dee would sit in the front of the bus because he was always in trouble, so he was always in the front seat of the bus. And one of these times we were halfway home, and he put a rubber snake right beside Red. And the driver of the bus was definitely afraid of snakes, and he scared the hell out of him, And Red threw my brother off the bus. And there, Mom and Dad had to come pick him up from some, remote place out in the middle of northwestern woods in Minnesota. So, and then of course, many have heard the story when he was in high school, and he played 1 year freshman football. My brother was the absolute smallest kid in high school. He didn't grow until he was in college. He was about 5'3" as a freshman in high school. They didn't have a football uniform small enough for him. And forever forward, when he tells this story, it's forever known as the tackle, because the coach put him in, and it was on a defensive linebacker position, and this guy comes running with the ball at him, and my brother took him out. But when the coach ran over to see my brother laying there on the sideline, all the coach was going to say was, "What am I going to tell his mother?" And here my brother was laying there, and he was hit so hard, and he had tackled the guy and made a good tackle. But when he looked down, my brother was looking up out of his helmet through the ear hole. That was a tackle. Well, I'm just going to say that in those 30-second stories, each one of those stories, when my brother told the story, it would take a half hour or more. He was a storyteller extraordinaire. And I know all of you would agree with that. And that's what endears him mostly to you, is his storytelling. And he got that from my dad. And my dad and my brother shared a very close bond with the hunting and fishing. But when they got together and told stories, have you ever seen my brother with this face? Came from my dad. But you know what? It was my mom that really brought joy to our house. She was fun to be around. And I looked to Susan when we would vacation in the summertime. When we would get together, all the cousins, it was really my mom that was really the comic and just had the sunshine in the family.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So there you go. There's the story of our upbringing. I would also like to mention that when he never became Darrell until he went to college, and then he took on his name Darrell, and he went briefly to Southern Illinois University. Briefly then left Southern Illinois University and went to San Francisco State. Where's that water? It's getting really dry. Excuse me. San Francisco State University for his bachelor's degree in marine biology and chemistry. Again, a love of the outdoors. And then my dad couldn't convince me to go to law school because I already had a job. So my dad said, I'd pay Dee to go to law school, and so there he went to law school, and he went up to University of Puget Sound, and I know that all of you are going to tell those stories. But wherever he lived on the West Coast, and I moved east. I went to school in Illinois, and then I was in Philadelphia, Boston, and Washington, D.C. Wherever we lived, the two of us, we would always visit each other on the coast. And there's one thing that we enjoyed together was music, and there's one thing that we enjoyed together was dancing. When my brother was in San Francisco, he would go, this is in the mid-70s, late 70s, he would go to the Palace Hotel in San Francisco on a Saturday afternoon to the garden room, and was recently refurbished, so you can see it now. It's all gold and glitter and glass ceiling. Garden Hotel on Saturday afternoon with the tea dances. And the big bands would come in, and they would have swing dances there. And my brother loved to swing dance. So whenever he and I got together, in fact, I think when we went to San Francisco with the family 3 years ago, we did some dancing there at the Fairmont Hotel. And the very, very last time, which was very memorable to me, was when we danced at my 60th birthday, which was 2 years ago. So that was a very special memory I wanted to share. So he played trumpet in the band when he was in middle school, and back then it was junior high and high school. And he never missed a David Bowie concert, anywhere Bowie was. He knew the name of every single tour that David Bowie had. So he loved to travel, his many travel stories, but I would just say in recognition of the other people who were my family that flew in, Susan and her husband John from San Diego, daughter Lauren, formerly of San Diego and now up at University of British Columbia, actually working up there in Vancouver, BC now. And then John's brother Bob Fradamico and his wife Mary from upstate New York, Syracuse. We shared a very special trip 4 years ago when we went to Germany to pick up Creighton, who was studying abroad, and we had a wonderful 3.5 weeks there. So I just wanted to recognize some of you maybe have only known Darrell for 2 or 3 or 4 years. But I'm telling you, when you're around him and his presence, you feel like you're the most important person in the room. There's an instant connection, an instant friendship. And some of you have come up to me and said, you know, I've only known him for a couple years. But I tell you, that guy, he made a mark. And those golf balls say it all. Darrell, it'll leave a mark. He left his mark on every one of you. You know, I just want to say one other thing, and that is, I read something recently in the Washington Post, and now that you know a little bit about our background and close to nature and biology, and with Casey being a science teacher, I thought maybe this would strike a chord with you as well, Casey. Just want to finish by saying a piece that Michael Gerson wrote in the Washington Post about mortality. It speaks to something that I share with my brother and our dad, and that is an understanding of biology in the natural world. And it goes like this. Each of us is conceived with a seed of mortality that can't be surgically removed. This seed of mortality grows inside of us until it kills us, hopefully after a long life that honors the incredible temporary privilege of living. I am fortunate indeed that my temporary privilege of living intersected with my brother for 61 years. I'm sad that the body to which he was fastened has given out so prematurely. But that body was carrying the weight of quite a significant being. Wouldn't you agree he was quite a significant being? I would like to close by introducing, of course, some of the loves of his life, Creighton and Kyle, my sons, and Kyle wants to say a few words.
Well, as Jim introduced us, Creighton and I have the rare and eternal honor of being able to call Darrell Uncle D. But truth be told, he was much more of an uncle, at times more like a father. In many ways. I remember one of my earliest memories was one of the few times my Uncle Darrell has ever shouted at me and my brother, and I never disobeyed my mother in front of him again. But besides that, he taught Creighton and I how to ski. He taught me how to swing a golf club. He taught me how to set up an irrigation system. But most importantly, he taught us how to be men of family and men of love. And anyone that knows me will forever know him as the greatest man I have ever known. Thank you.